to earn the back part.
You're thinking, oh, I heard that too, right?
What?
No, I'm
Really? Kaylee, get your mind out of the gutter. All right, so yoga for stress today. We don't really get off the ground. Really focusing on getting grounded, getting into your body.
I'll take a nap.
Finding your breath, finding places we can reduce a little stress. Bring props, so blankets, pillows, cushions. Grab a chair because we do a lot of seated work. And if you're not 100% comfortable sitting cross-legged on the ground, there's no points for that. So find another way to sit. I have my cushion. You can put a pillow under your hips. You can bring a chair, anything that makes you comfortable. So goal is comfort. We're trying to reduce stress, not increase it. So start on your back. Find a comfortable position on your back. You can have your legs in full shavasana or your feet wide and your knees together. We're going to focus on breathing, so it might be more comfortable just to have your lower back a little softer. So really landing on the ground, taking the time to feel your hips on the ground, maybe even placing your hands on your hips. So you kind of feel that connection of above and below. You feel the ground below you, feel a little warmth of your own hands. Taking the time to really land on your mat, and as if you could begin to start to build up a little wall of protection. You're just going to be on this mat, just you and the mat and us. We're here with you. Even if we are online, we're all together in this moment. And then start to feel your shoulders, give them a wiggle. Let your shoulder blades become heavier in the ground, nestled onto the ground. Let the muscles that hold your shoulders start to soften and relax. Maybe take a little soft wiggle of the chin side to side. Let the neck soften and relax. Try and release any tension holding on in your neck. And be mindful that you're not flattening your neck down to the ground. Try and let its natural curve remain. And we're going to think about the spine. So bring your awareness to the crown of your head and imagine that you could get really soft on the crown of your head. We're going to start to imagine we could plug into an energy source just outside of us from the crown of our head, as if we could plug in an outlet. And this energy source is going to gently recharge us, and it's going to begin through the softening in the crown of our head and slowly trickle down our spine. So imagine this energy source could just gently visit each vertebrae. Connect with all the muscles that connect to our spine. Gently seeing any holding patterns we have around our spine. And with a little refresh and recharge, imagine you could reset, make little pockets of space between each vertebrae. And let go of any tension and misaligned bones. And whatever helps you keep this focus, bringing your focus really to the concept of drawing fresh energy down your spine. Maybe you give this energy a color or a temperature. Maybe you see it as a river flowing down your spine, gently washing away tension. Soften the muscles related to your breath. Allow your breath to just roll in and roll out without control. And then start to draw your awareness into your breath. So starting to really bring softness into the lower torso and allow your breath to begin to come more fully into your lower torso. Just watching your stomach rise and fall with your breath. And then gently, one at a time, bring a knee into the chest and give yourself a little hug. Maybe rock it side to side. And then take the feet up in the air. And just get our feet above our heart. And then point and flex the toes, wiggle the toes. Start to think about your feet and the muscles in your feet. Take some movements. And then take some very slow ankle circles, active feet. So starting to warm up the muscles of the feet, thinking about the muscles of the feet, making very slow, controlled circles. And then switch the direction of your circles. And then bend your knees and let your feet come down about knee height. Just make sure that you bring a little tension into your lower stomach. Try not to over flatten your lower back. A little bit of awareness in your lower stomach. And then we're going to take circles with the lower legs. You can hold on to your thighs. Nice, slow, and controlled circles. So try not to move the thighs too much. Active feet, active legs, nice and slow and controlled. And then switch the direction of your circles. Notice how hard it is to actually move the lower leg without a lot of movement in the thigh. I'll often tell you about where your compensation patterns are. And then bring both feet down about hip width. Take a little wiggle, make sure there's no tension in the hips and the lower back. Keeping your left foot down, we're going to bring the right knee up and we're going to take hip circles. So slow. We're going to take this knee in a nice, slow, controlled circle, as if you're trying to feel every point of the circle, every muscle group. And then switch the direction of the circle. And then lower the right foot. And then left knee comes up and take some hip circles with the left leg, slow and with control. And then reverse the circles. Try to keep connection to that nice, slow, soft breath.
Just moves bad.
In your hip?
Yeah.
That's normal. And lower the foot. We're going to take the knees side to side. So take the feet a little wider than the hips. And lower the knees slowly over to the right. And then slowly back through center and over to the left, windshield wiper. You can have your hands on your stomach. You can have your hands out. Just finding a comfortable, soft movement. This is yoga for stress. So all of what we're doing is just kind of suggestions. And if you start to find a position or something else that feels good, it's your practice. The wonderful thing about being online is you don't have to worry about whether the yoga teacher is getting frustrated when you're doing your own thing. Go ahead, do your own thing. This is just an exploration and experience.
You should always cats so I complain when she goes into down dog.
Bring your knees up about hip height. We're going to bring our arms down so that our shoulders can land. I like to bring palms to the ceiling. You really want your shoulders on the ground. You're going to press your rib cage into the ground. This starts to activate your core. Press your hips into the ground. So hips are pressing down, rib cage pressing down, holding your knees. This should start to feel active already. Kaylee has a bit of the giggles today.
I can't push my rib cage down.
Right. So you're going to slowly and with control take the knees over to the right. Not too far. You can allow the left hip to come up just as long as you can hold this strong. And then all the way back through center as slow as you can, and then over to the other side.
I think I figured it out, but it requires making like a lot of compensation.
Back through center. If you want to make this a little more challenging, you make the legs a little longer, a little heavier.
You're gonna try and push your ribs into the ground.
So really using that core, starting to generate a little heat in the core. And then bring the knees in towards the chest. And this time take little soft slow circles, taking the knees out and then in towards each other. Slow and with control, finding muscles. And then out in the opposite direction. Squeezing the lower core. And then lower the feet, knees up. Take a little shuffle. Take the right hand all the way up to the ceiling. And then take the right arm across the body as if you're pushing away. Let the right shoulder lift up off the ground. Reach, push. Start to activate this arm. Mindful of tension in the neck. Let your head rest where the neck is comfortable. Starting to warm up the shoulders, so then take your arm down slowly towards the knees. And then across, big circle. So nice, big, slow circle with the arm. Laziest circles ever because we're not on our feet. And then take it back in the opposite direction. Nice and slow, as if you're trying to really push the arm active and find muscles in the arm and in the shoulder, maybe a little in the core even. Mindful of tension in the face. And then lay back down, shuffle, and take a moment to feel left and right shoulders and arms. Notice any differences. And then we're going to take the left hand over across the body, kind of towards the right knee, sorry. Pressing the hand active and strong. So really starting to find muscles in the arm, in the shoulder, a little in the core. And then nice, slow circles. So the arm stays pressing as if you're pressing something away from you as you take your circle. Maybe find some positions of your arm and shoulder that are a little weak. Just take notice. Again, mindful of the tension in your neck. Find a comfortable position for your head. And then reverse your circles. And then rest your left hand back down. Bring the palms of the hands down towards the hips, not exactly close to the hips, a little bit further away from the hips. Press into the ground and begin to fire up the shoulders. And again, notice any holding patterns. So maybe you fired up your lower back. See if you can soften your lower back. Trying to just feel the shoulders and arms. Maybe your neck is tense. Maybe you started to fire up the face. Soften the face. Soften the neck. Chest and shoulders and arms. Press a little harder. Take a deep inhale. And with the exhale, suddenly release the press and let your arms flop. And just notice what it feels like to turn the muscles off and let them suddenly release. Take some wiggles of the hands. Try to allow some softness in the hands. And then we're going to press the palms up towards the ceiling and press the back of the hands into the ground. Fire up and notice which muscles fire. And again, look for compensation patterns. Turn off the lower back. Turn off the neck. Maybe try to press the shoulders down into the ground. Soften the face. Soft breath. Take a deep breath in as you press a little harder. And then with the exhale, suddenly release. Let everything soften. And then bring the palm of your hand, whichever hand is most comfortable, to the forehead. And just feel a little bit of weight on your forehead. You don't even need to press. Just feel the weight of your hand in your forehead and notice how that makes your skull feel a little heavier. Connect with pressure on the front of the head and pressure on the back of the head. Some little tiny pressure. Imagine that you could bring more softness to the jaw, into the cheeks and around the eyes. I'm feeling the pressure right on the forehead and the pressure right on the back of the skull. See if you can find the center point of these 2 points of pressure, right in the middle of the brain. And when you find that point, rest your awareness here and let your hand go. Softly allow it to go wherever it's comfortable. And rest your awareness in that center point of the brain, allowing space for whatever is present here to be present here.
greeting yourself where you are at without judgment, just observation. We're going to go into a little face routine. Feel free to skip it and just remain here resting. If you're doing the face routine, I hope you wash your hands. So we're going to take 2 fingers, index and middle finger, and we're going to make little tiny circles at the corners of our eyes. Little soft circles here, just releasing tension at the corners of our eyes. And then little soft circles right where upper and lower jaw meet. Now you're going to take your index finger and your thumb, make pinchy fingers. You're going to grab your lower jawbone right at the chin and follow it all the way up towards the ears, stroking from the chin to the ear, following the bone, little pressure. Noticing how much tension we store in our jaw. And then take 2 fingers, index and middle, place them right between your eyes and stroke all the way up to the hairline, nice and slow. And then index and middle of both hands, you're going to rest at the corner of your eyebrow, go up to about the middle of your forehead and follow that line, the wrinkle line across our forehead up into the hairline. So up from the eyebrow, across the middle of the forehead, and then up into the hairline. And try not to go right across the temple, soft and tender there. And then let that go. Bring your hands to prayer and rub them together and make them nice and warm. And then bring your hands just underneath your jaw. So placing your hands just underneath your jaw, let the warmth of your hands rest here. So imagine the warmth of your hands could soften any tension here. Finding your breath nice and soft. And then let that go and rest in that center point of your mind again. Noticing if it's a little easier to find, if there are any changes. And there are no right or wrong answers whenever we question in yoga. Yoga is about inquiry and exploration. There's no right or wrong. It's just peeking in, taking a look, seeing what's going on. And then take the right foot up and press it just underneath the left knee. We're going to press the right knee away from us. I like to keep an eye on my hips, so I'm placing my hands on my hips to keep them nice and grounded and steady. Pressing into the left heel, you can lift the right toes to make the left leg a little more active. You can pull the toes of the right foot towards the right shin, making the right leg a little more active. Feeling the hips. And then slide the right knee over the left, nice and slow. And bring the knees in towards the chest. Opposite feet come towards shoulders. You can hold on to your shins. Connecting with the right hip, right piriformis. Underneath the glutes. And this is one of our fight or flight areas. So really thinking about softness and letting go in this space, all over the hips and lower back. And slowly bring that down. Switch legs. Right foot goes down, left ankle crosses just underneath the knee. Keeping an eye on the hips, keeping them grounded, and then send that left knee away from you. Pressing in, using the muscles of our legs to open up the hip. You can bring the toes of the left foot towards the shin. You can press into the right heel and draw the right toes towards the shin too. And let that go and slowly slide left knee over right, bringing the knees in towards the chest and heels towards opposite shoulders. Thinking about softness and letting go around the hips, the glutes, the lower back. And then let that go, unravel. Take a little shuffle of the hips side to side. And now we're going to do a little cross-body patterning. So take this soft and careful. Be mindful of the lower back. Be mindful of tension in the neck. We're going to do a bicycle type patterning. We're going to cross left and right side. So we really want to connect with right hand coming to left side, left hand coming to right side. But we also want to do this as silly as we can. And because you're not in the studio and I can't see you, you can pull a silly face. You can really try to make this as silly as possible. Imagine that you are your 5-year-old self attempting this, or maybe even your 3-year-old self attempting this. So you're going to take your arms and make them floppy. So give your arms a little shake. Make them floppy. And then bring your legs up in the air and give your legs a little shake. Kick out. Relax. Really kick out. And then we're going to do a bicycle movement. So we're going to take right arm across, tap the left leg, and then over, tap. So you're really tapping, but then start to make it silly. So really silly. Maybe you're going to make up a face.
I don't understand what you mean by make it silly. There is no way to make this silly.
So make your movement silly. Like you're just kind of like, flopping around on the
I
ground.
do that anyway.
Like Kaylee does in the class all the time. Make a silly face. Make it silly, maybe touching ankles, whatever you can, just touching left and right sides and being soft and kind of silly, making your face. Maybe you stick out your tongue. Imagine you're 3 and you're just releasing on the ground, letting go.
I think my 3-year-olds would do this.
I've had 3-year-olds doing this. So then bring your feet
I
up your
thought
body
people
down.
doing something like this actually. They actually
And then
do.
kick your feet again. Kick them. Kick them like your brother's in the swimming pool and you're trying to splash them.
Or your mom. I tried to splash you yesterday.
Make your splashes bigger. Let it go. And then bring your feet down. Feel your feet on the ground. Take a little shuffle of the hips. And we're going to lay here and think of something funny. So, what was the last thing that you could think of that made you laugh out loud from your belly? See if you can bring a visual. And then close your eyes thinking about that moment and try really hard not to laugh. And notice how it's actually kind of hard to not laugh when you think of something funny. So there's a favorite TV show that we have in the family. There's an episode called The Giggle Loop.
That's not a favorite TV show. That's your favorite TV show.
It's a family favorite because it's an enforced family favorite, maybe. But there's a thing called the giggle loop. And it's about how even in moments that are inappropriate, if we try not to giggle, we often giggle just because of nervous energy. So think of something happy, try not to giggle, and let your body soften into whatever happens. Maybe you're not in the mood for giggling, but sometimes it can be a nice release. And then roll on over to your side and come on up to a seat. I don't know if you can see her face right now, but she just gave me a death stare. I promise it's just a short time seated. So come on up to a seat if you want to grab a chair, grab a chair. I'm actually going to grab my cushion because we're going to be here for just a little bit.
You need to stand up too.
So a little bit of seated work. A little bit of being nice and tall in the spine for a moment. Find your breath. Find your hips on the ground or on the chair, wherever you're sitting on. Pick your hands up and let them plop into your lap wherever they're comfortable, not where you think they should be. Try to bring some softness to your hands, and if you're comfortable, close your eyes for a moment. If not, just soften your focus on something. We've been thinking about circles and doing lots and lots of circles. So a few more circles before we come back down to the ground. So we're going to think about the rib cage, moving from the rib cage up, little tiny engagement in the stomach as if we're trying to squeeze this stomach area, the area of our emotions, wring it out. So we're going to take our torso, our upper torso, our rib cage, all the way around in a nice, slow, and controlled circle. If you like, you can think about your solar plexus area, yellow ball of energy here, kind of being rinsed and cleaned and wrung out. Moving with nice, slow breath, soft breath. Not too much muscular action in the breath, not too much force. And then reverse your circle.
I can't do this.
And then bring back to center and just center for a moment. Maybe even bring your hands together, making them warm and placing them right underneath the rib cage. Connecting with this space, So we connected with the center of our mind, and this is kind of the center of our emotions. And allowing space for whatever is present to be present here. Understanding that there can be pulling opposites. We can hold space for opposites. We can hold space for fear, space for wonder, space for love, space for anger, space for all of the things that are present. Our emotions are supposed to move and shuffle. They're supposed to be filters of information of our environment. And the only problem is when we get tied up in them, stuck up in them, or when we suppress them and not allow them to move as they need to move. And then bringing our awareness to our throat. And bring our hands to prayer. Interlace our fingers in front of our throat. We're going to inhale as we lift our chin, open our arms, open our hands. Exhale as we compress our hands, compress our throat, chin down. Inhale up and exhale down. Our hands are not touching our throat or our neck. We're just using them as kind of a feedback loop. So we're inhaling, opening, exhaling, compressing, and we want to start to imagine doing the same thing in our throat. Inhale, open, exhale, compress, as if we're trying to restrict our breath a little bit as it comes through. And if you're a visual person, you can start to imagine a little blue ball of energy in between your hands. You're opening and letting it shine, and exhaling and giving it a little squeeze. And then bring that down, let it go. And take a moment to reset and soften. And we're going to bring the chin down towards the chest, feeling the back of the neck, feeling the tension here, noticing your natural stopping point. And then very, very slowly, as if trying to feel every point of the circle, take your head in a very slow circle, really connecting with all of the points of tension in your neck. And then reverse your circle. And when you take your head backwards, try to keep your neck long. And bring the chin back to neutral. Turn the chin all the way to the right shoulder. Feel the left side. All the way back through center over to the left shoulder. Feel the right side. And just notice natural stopping points and any changes or differences between the left and right sides. Back to center. And slow shoulder circles. So shoulders all the way forward, all the way up, all the way back, close together, shoulder blades squeeze, push down, and then all the way forward. As slow as you can, really trying to feel every point of these circles. So not just kind of rolling in space, trying to find muscles, trying to find tension, and then reverse the direction of the circle. And if you couldn't think of anything funny before, think of how ridiculous we look trying to do this on video, live TV, with our shoulders up to our ears. And then bring that down and take a little shuffle. And let's think about the hands for a little bit. So bring your hands together. Press the fingertips together and connect with the feeling of the fingertips touching. Fingers do all kinds of work for us all day, and we don't really think about how many sensors we have on the fingers. So connecting and feeling. And then we'll do a little brain patterning. So pulling pinky fingers apart and then ring fingers, middle fingers, index fingers, thumbs. Taking a pattern, go back the other way. And then watching your pattern, starting to speed it up. See how long it takes you to make a mistake. Brain patterning exercise. And then we're going to do another one. So letting that go, bringing your 2 pointer fingers to meet. Have you been practicing? So the whole point of these exercises is to challenge your brain. The more difficult this is, the better for you it is. If you've been practicing, you've gotten good at this, then try something else, because the point is to confuse your brain and make it work in different ways. So you're going to bring your fingers, pointer fingers, to look at each other, to point towards each other. You're going to take one finger in a circle in one direction, and then try and make the other finger go in a circle in the opposite direction. It's next to impossible. See, cannot do it. I have no idea what I'm doing.
I think I did.
So yeah. So
As soon
try.
as you get it and then you think about it, you mess it up.
Yeah. As soon as you mess it
So
up, yeah. So you can get it, and then So it doesn't. It takes long.
If you
So just play with it for a second.
try to tap on one.
And feel free to laugh at yourself.
If you've gotten good at that one, you can do this one. You tap with one finger and then you try and do a different beat on this side. So you tap a beat with one hand.
Oh,
and
there's
try and
the
do a different
okay
one.
one too, right?
I don't know. You just tap a beat. It's like
Okay,
impossible.
and then peace.
I don't know that one.
Just switch.
Oh, that one is impossible.
Okay, so we're gonna do okay and peace. So there's another one. Okay with
It's
one hand,
impossible.
the okay sign with one hand, the peace sign with another hand, and then switch which hand is doing which very quickly. See, it's really hard. And you may make really bad gestures with your hands. See, I got 2 okays. It's really hard. So those challenges for your brain, notice how silly you feel, notice how hard it is to do. Play with it. The playing with it is the part that releases stress. The playing with it is the part that gives your brain a little recharge, a reset. You're doing something new. You're being childlike again. You're doing something unusual. You're exploring. You're trying something new, which is great for your brain.
Oh, that's not
All right. So
it's on video. You can watch the video.
Uh-huh.
I got it again.
Then bring your hands to prayer and connect with your fingertips together. And just feel your fingertips together, left and right sides meeting. We're going to do a little bit of a breath pattern. So we're going to bring our arms out, palms up. We're going to bring one hand to touch opposite shoulder. As we do this, we're going to turn our head to the other direction. So left hand touches right shoulder, head turns to the left shoulder. So slowly connect with this movement, feel it, and then we're going to add the breath in. So you inhale, open, exhale, turn. Inhale, open, exhale, turn. Really connecting with moving your head, moving your breath. If you find things come up in this pattern, maybe you're finding it boring. Maybe you're finding it frustratingly boring. It's too slow. Notice those feelings and those thoughts. Just notice them. Their information. And try to keep returning to just breathing and touching. Maybe this is confusing and maybe that's frustrating for you. And just notice. Be patient with yourself and notice the information that comes up. And then bring your hands down into your lap, whichever way is comfortable, palms up or down, shoulders soft, and try to bring your eyes closed or soft focus to something on the ground. And just notice, how do you feel from the start of practice? How is your breath? How are your emotions? How is your mind? Then very slowly and carefully make your way over to a tabletop position.
So excited.
So pick your tabletop in whichever position you feel like today, listening to your body. Maybe your hands are out really wide, maybe they're in close together, maybe they're under the shoulders, maybe they're further away. Find the position that feels good for you. And take a little bit of movement here. So just feeling your hands on the ground first, a little tiny movement. Pressing into your hands so the weight is at the base of the fingers and not in the wrist. Pressing into the hands, starting to make the arms active, and then starting to sway left and right with the hips. Left and right. And feel free to put something underneath your knees. This is yoga for stress. It is no competition to be uncomfortable. It's all about comfort. You can squeeze the belly and lift up off the knees a little if you have particularly sensitive knees. Starting to take some movements, feeling the arms, feeling the shoulders, feeling the hips. And then we're going to take nice, soft circles with the hips. Ooh, big crack, sorry. Nice, soft circles. So if you're trying to feel every point of the circle, and if you like, you can think about your base and a big red ball of energy at your tailbone. And then reverse your circle. And then choice for the next position. You can choose to be in child's or you can choose to be in crocodile. We're looking for a face down surrender. So lower down slowly to crocodile, stomach down, one hand on top of the other, forehead down, or into child's. Make a choice for which is more comfortable for you. Once you're there, soften the shoulders. Soften the hips. Try to have a soft neck. And connect with a little compression on the front of the torso. Almost as if you're being hugged and compressed on the front side, protected on the front side, and open and vulnerable across the back, surrendering, letting go. Can you soften the soles of your feet a little more? Can you rest in that center point of the mind? Observing whatever is present here.
And then try not to become too alert as you transition. You're going to make your way to your back, rolling on over, the world's most graceful yoga transition. So find your way to your back. And again, we're going to be here. We're coming into our final resting pose. So make choices of how that is for you. Maybe you want to have your feet up on the couch. This is wonderful for releasing tension in your lower back. Maybe you want your feet on a chair. Maybe you want to bolster underneath your knees. Making choices about how you would like to be positioned. Maybe you want to be in full corpse pose.
I just don't want to move the bolster.
Keely likes the bolster underneath her knees. So you're coming in to your final resting pose. I'm going to talk you through some relaxation techniques as we start to settle in. So bring your awareness to the soles of your feet. Squeeze them really tight. Squeeze them tighter, 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 and then suddenly release them. Bring awareness to the soles of your feet. Draw them tight, and then draw all of the muscles of your legs tight. Tighter, 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 tighter. Squeeze all the muscles of your legs. Activate your glutes. Squeeze tight. And then take a really strong deep breath in as you squeeze even tighter. And then with the exhale, release really suddenly. Squeeze from the feet all the way up the legs. Squeeze the glutes. Find some muscles in your stomach, in your torso. Make fists with your hands and squeeze your arms tight. Really, really tight. Shoulders, neck. Bring every muscle from the chin down active and strong. Squeeze tighter. Take a deep breath in and squeeze even tighter. And with the exhale, suddenly release. Bring all the tension in from the feet, the legs, the glutes, the torso. Make fists, squeeze the arms, squeeze the chest, and then squeeze every muscle of your face. Squeeze the face, make a terrible squeeze tight face. Squeeze all the tension into your face. Squeeze tighter, tighter, tighter. Take a deep breath in and squeeze even tighter. Maybe even gritting your teeth, and with the exhale, let go. Land on the ground. Land into support. I have 2 readings today. Louise Hay, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. We all have areas of our lives that we think are unacceptable and unlovable. If we are really angry with parts of ourselves, we often engage in self-abuse. We beat ourselves up. One of the worst things that we do, which does more damage than anything else, is criticize ourselves. We need to stop all criticism. Once we get into the practice of doing that, it's amazing how we stop criticizing other people. Because everyone is a reflection of us, and what we see in another person, we see in ourselves. When we complain about another person, we are really complaining about ourselves. When we can truly love and accept who we are, there is nothing to complain about. We cannot hurt ourselves, and we cannot hurt another person. Let's make a vow that we will no longer criticize ourselves for anything. Laying here in this moment, can you imagine standing above yourself right now and looking at yourself in this moment and notice that thought that pops up,
that judgment that comes to mind. Could you imagine letting that go? As if you're staring in a mirror right now, and when that thought pops up, you're going to fog up the mirror and wipe it and start over. See yourself again in this moment, in this present moment in time, and see if you can just keep doing this until maybe you could just look at yourself with love and kindness. Imagine the freedom of being able to look in the mirror every day without all of those mean stories we tell ourselves. And if you have the time to stay a little longer in Shavasana, feel free to switch us off and take a little more time. We're about 3 minutes to go before an hour is up. And you're going to stay with us. Take a little moment to bring some wiggles to your fingers and your toes. And slowly bring a knee in at a time to your chest. And roll on over to whichever side is calling to you. Curling up in a tiny ball in a fetal position with your head supported. Perhaps a blanket over you, feeling supported and wrapped. Take a moment to return to your breath. Trying to focus on the softness and wonder of your breath. Trying not to bring in force, muscular action, just noticing. Thinking perhaps even of the science of the breath, that we breathe in all this stuff and we turn it into oxygen, the thing that we need, and then we send out all the stuff we don't need in our exhale. It's quite a magical process. And breathe in, use up what we need, and then we send it out. And then even more amazing is the trees and the plants use what we don't need. This amazing cycle of life. It helps bring us into present moment. Helps let us take a break from what's to come or what has been. Just breathing, being here in this moment with our breath. Our second reading today is from the Radiant Sutra. Friends, relatives, neighbors, people who abide in your village, city, or country. Be not concerned with their attitude towards these teachings. Everyone is discovering the intimate universe in their own way. This nectar is here, within every breath, every desire, every transition, from waking to sleeping and sleeping to waking. Once you have set out on the path of intimacy with the immortal essence of life, never turn your back on it, never turn away. Though every moment may be surprising, revelatory, unrecognizable, and full of wonder, continue to cherish each breath. Live in gratitude for the ambrosia we imbibe in each turning out breath into in breath into out breath. And take your time to come on up to a seated position. Bring your hands to prayer at heart space and connect with this gesture, bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our hearts. This gesture of accepting ourselves as whole and complete, exactly as we are. Send a little gratitude to your own internal wisdom. May we all, each and every one of us, know love, light, and connection. Thanks so much for joining us.